Did Donald Trump just trigger what could become the greatest bull run, the super cycle of the cryptocurrency market that everyone's been waiting for? Or is it something that could be catastrophic? We're going to be digging into what Donald Trump is doing with the trade war, what it means for investment markets, the cryptocurrency markets, and much more. What's to come this week and what's to come for the rest of this year. There's some interesting things looking back at previous cycles, as well as what happened with the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, because it's something that has happened every single cycle so far. So here we go. Well, if you haven't heard by now, Donald Trump, of course, announced sweeping tariffs across the globe. And of course, that spooked investors, as investors have been pulling out of the stock market for the last several days en masse, not knowing what is going to happen. They're pulling what they have out of the stock market, at least partially. They're pulling what they have out of the cryptocurrency markets, at least partially, because of the great unknown, not knowing what is going to happen, and not knowing if we're in fact in the beginning of a bear market. Well, are we really in a bear market or a bull market? I mean, honestly, at this point, does it really matter? Because here's the thing, so far in the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin is down 31% from its all-time high, not a huge deal. Other Bitcoin bull cycles have experienced multiple 30% pullbacks on its way to new all-time highs. But what about Ethereum? Ethereum is down 62% since its all-time high just a couple of months ago. And now you got XRP is down 45% of its all-time high just a couple of months ago. So you have bear market numbers that are already happening, at least in the altcoin market. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is still somewhat holding its own. Everyone's looking at the S&P and thinking that their 401ks are just absolutely wrecked because of the trade war going on with Donald Trump and his announcement of the tariffs. First, let's take a look at the tariffs, and then I'm going to get into why it could mean a huge bull cycle for crypto, or not. So as of right now, there are nearly 50 countries, as of the time of making this video, that have responded to Donald Trump in the White House, announcing that they are willing to work with the United States in lowering or removing their tariffs on U.S. imports altogether. Now, what this signals is that the United States is not going to tariff those countries. In fact, some of the countries like Vietnam, Taiwan, India have already announced they will have no tariffs on U.S. imports, and thus the White House, with reciprocal tariffs, will have none on theirs as well. There's a few other countries that are in talks. Of course, Britain has said they want to be in talks. And then you have Canada, who's announced they're going to be having a major trade war with the US. We're going to see how that pans out. And now, as these countries work with the Trump administration over the coming days, this week specifically, we're going to see how this pans out in the markets. Right now, I'm expecting a bounce. The markets were hurt today, big time, especially in the crypto market. Bitcoin, the altcoins, they took a major hit. And when I was looking up some of the prices, I came across what happened in Japan. The Nikkei 225 was actually halted. It was paused, as they call it, a circuit breaker, in order to stave off panic in the markets, because there was such a big sell-off in the Japanese Nikkei futures. That is not a good sign for U.S. markets. Typically, it follows what the Japanese markets are going to be doing, at least in sentiment, maybe not in full scale percentage-wise. But when I started putting this video together and looking what was happening, it bounced. The Japanese Nikkei bounced big time. In fact, all coins followed suit. XRP is now climbing. Bitcoin is now climbing. And yes, even Ethereum is now climbing, at least as of the making of this video. Are they getting prepared for a dump come Monday morning? Well, by the time you watch this video, we might already know. But regardless, there's some interesting things happening across the globe in their fight with the United States, or they're not wanting to fight with the United States on this trade war. Because ultimately, what's going to happen from the tariff war is basically a restructuring of global trade, specifically in the United States, because if other countries are doing retaliatory tariffs, although it looks like some are just removing their tariffs altogether, but if there are higher tariffs, the United States will not be selling as many to other countries, which means they'll have to sell more into the United States. And a surplus of products, that's going to mean more income for United States companies. It's going to mean more expansion. It's going to mean more investment. Now, in general, that's a genius move. It's not only going to stabilize prices for things in the United States, but it's going to cause more foreign money to come into the United States rather than the other way around, which was the original idea and why it was proposed. And of course, Donald Trump, running on his America First agenda, thought this sounds like a great idea. So we're going to have to see how this pans out. But if this does pan out in the United States, we're going to have to take a look at the rest of the year. because the next month it's going to be a lot of chop, a lot of uncertainty. You're going to see scary wicks to the upside, scary wicks to the downside on both the S&P, especially the NASDAQ, and cryptocurrencies. Are we actually going to see an altcoin season? At this point, who knows? Everybody just kind of wants some stabilization and wants to know if they should stay in the market or get out. But here's my case for the cryptocurrency market about to become a super cycle. Every single cryptocurrency bull run, or Bitcoin bull run, since its existence, has had a black swan event that triggered its massive upswing. Now, in 2013, 2014, it wasn't necessarily a black swan event that triggered a bull run, but the fact that Bitcoin mining had become a thing and basically went viral in terms of what Bitcoin's price was doing and how you could earn Bitcoin, and at that point was actually making investors 50x, 100x profits. In 2017, what was the black swan event? Well, a lot of people say there wasn't one, but I was reading an article about it, and technically 2017 in its entirety was a black swan event. In fact, it did so well in 2017, it never had more than a 3% drawdown of the S&P 500, and any drawdowns were very short-lived. The entire year was basically parabolic, and if you look at the Bitcoin price, a lot of people, a lot of investors felt that safety. They felt that stability. And thus, Bitcoin's price went parabolic as well, going from $600 up to $20,000 in a matter of 11 months. Now, that is orders of magnitude that we have not seen in this Bitcoin bull run. Now, obviously, going from 15,000 to 100,000 is very big as well, but it's still not quite there. So if 2017 was actually listed as a black swan event, well, then we could consider 2020 the major black swan event, of course, that being the COVID crash. And what happened then? Well, Bitcoin crashed 62% in a matter of 3 weeks. 3 candles had a 62% drop, and what happened? Well, there was kind of a V-shaped recovery. As we started going through the whole COVID mess, markets recovered, and of course, there was hopes of what? Stimulus, money printing, money going back into the economy. And what did that do? Well, eventually, as we know, that entered the markets, that flooded the markets and caused a huge run-up of assets, specifically risk-on assets like Bitcoin, running up to $69,000. So what is happening this time? A lot of people are wondering, are we actually in the front end of this bull market, or are we on the tail end? Are we going to see basically another 12 months of drop, and we should be looking for Bitcoin's lows to jump in and invest again? Well, here's my theory. If the tariff trade war plays out in favor of the Trump administration, in favor of the United States, and brings huge liquidity, i.e. rate cuts towards the end of the year, because as people pull cash out, cash hoarding causes the Fed to have to lower rate. That, in theory, is part of the plan. So if there's excess cash on hand in the United States, rates get lowered, the Trump administration refinances trillions upon trillions of dollars at lower rates, resulting in trillions of dollars worth of savings, well, that money is once again essentially a de facto stimulus, like I talked about in my previous video. Now, what could this do if you have, specifically in the United States, you have a surplus, you have trillions of dollars in debt payment savings, you have product prices stabilizing because of a potential surplus, and even if there isn't a surplus, you're going to be having more foreign sales and thus more foreign money coming into the United States as a whole, as manufacturing is being increased, which is what the Trump administration is calling for. So is this going to happen in theory? Well, in theory, if it does, we could be seeing a 2017 type of scenario all over again. The Trump trade war is the black swan, in case you haven't noticed. This is the black swan event that's either A, it's going to plunge the crypto markets back into a bear market, and yes, we should be looking for a low price point at some point in the middle of 2026. But if not, we could see a parabolic run like we did in 2017 and see well over $250,000 Bitcoin. Altcoins, of course, will follow. Probably have an alt season again, but right now is not the time to be determined. Right now is that pivot point. But comment in the comment section down below what you guys think about all of this. Will this actually play out in theory? Will it catastrophically crash, or somewhere in between? Because we have basically till the end of the year to find it out, as the other bull runs have pointed to a late 2025 peak of the Bitcoin price. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you watching this video all the way to the end, for smashing that thumbs up button. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.
Institution, Lambo dreams fueled by them crypto stacks. Future in our hands, we ain't looking back. XRP to the moon, watch them rise and shine.